In a small village named Neka in the southern part of Nigeria, two sisters, Obiageli and Obiage, were born on a crisp morning under the watchful eyes of their loving parents. From the moment they took their first breaths, the bond between them was palpable, a connection so strong that it seemed nothing could ever come between them. They were the epitome of twin sisterhood, inseparable and intertwined in everything they did. Growing up, Obiageli and Obiage were known for their infectious laughter and the joy they brought to those around them. They played together, shared secrets, and dreamed of a future where they would always be side by side. Their parents often marveled at how the girls complemented each other so perfectly, Obiage, the quieter and more contemplative one, while Obiageli was vivacious and full of life. Despite their differences, their love for each other was unwavering. Life, however, has a way of steering us into unforeseen paths. The turning point for the sisters came when Obiora, a successful businessman living in Europe, visited their village in search of a wife. He was introduced to Obiage, and their connection was immediate and profound. Obiora was captivated by her beauty and grace, and it wasn't long before they were married. As they prepared to leave for Europe, Obiage made a solemn promise to her sister. "Don't worry, Obiageli," she said, holding her sister's hands tightly. "We will always stay in touch, and I will do everything I can to bring you to Europe so we can be together again." Obiageli's heart swelled with hope and gratitude. She hugged her sister, tears of joy streaming down her face, then prayed for the day their dream would come true. A year passed, and Obiage, true to her word, managed to find a way to bring Obiageli to Europe. With the help of her husband, Obiora, they navigated the complexities of immigration through less than legal means. When Obiageli arrived, the sisters were overjoyed. They spent countless hours reminiscing about their childhood and planning for a future in this new land. Little did they know, a sinister storm was brewing on the horizon. Obiora, cunning and deceitful, saw an opportunity in Obiageli's vulnerability. He knew that without proper documentation, her stay in Europe was precarious. One evening, he approached her with a proposition, cloaked in the guise of concern. "Obiageli, you know your status here is uncertain. But if you spend time with me, I can make sure you get your papers and won't face deportation," he said, his voice smooth and persuasive. Obiageli was torn. She felt an obligation to her sister and the fear of being sent back home. Against her better judgment, she succumbed to Obiora's advances, believing his promises. What started as a reluctant concession soon turned into a torrid affair, and before long, Obiageli found herself pregnant. The news of Obiageli's pregnancy sent shockwaves through the household. Obiage, who had been struggling with her own inability to conceive, was devastated when she learned of her sister's betrayal. The pain was so intense that she collapsed into a coma, her body and mind unable to cope with the magnitude of the betrayal. Obiageli was racked with guilt and shame. She wanted to apologize, to beg for her sister's forgiveness, but Obiage lay unconscious in a hospital bed, fighting for her life. As the days turned into weeks, the strain took its toll on Obiageli. She was alone, pregnant, then burdened with the knowledge that she had destroyed the most important relationship in her life. Obiora, meanwhile, was scrambling to manage the legal complications of Obiageli's arrival and the impending birth of their child. The house, once filled with laughter and love, was now a place of sorrow and despair. The community whispered about the scandal, and the weight of his actions began to bear down on Obiora. One fateful night, Obiageli passed away in her sleep, the stress and shame too much for her to bear. The next morning, the hospital called with more tragic news. Obiage had also succumbed to her coma and died. The bond that had once brought so much joy and love was now the source of indescribable sorrow and loss. Obiora was left alone, haunted by the choices he had made. He had destroyed the lives of two beautiful sisters, torn apart a family, and lost the love and trust of those who had once been closest to him. As he stood at their graves, tears streaming down his face, he realized the true cost of his deceit and greed. Obiora's life rapidly spiraled out of control after the death of the sisters. The authorities had been alerted to Obiageli's illegal entry into the country, and Obiora found himself under investigation. The stress and scrutiny became too much to bear. He began drinking heavily, trying to drown out the guilt and the whispers of his conscience that grew louder with each passing day. His business started to suffer. Clients who once praised his acumen and reliability now distanced themselves, wary of the scandal that surrounded him. His once luxurious home felt like a prison, every corner haunted by memories of the sisters he had wronged. The community turned against him, and even his closest friends abandoned him. Obiora's downward spiral reached its nadir when he was arrested for immigration fraud. The trial was swift and brutal. Evidence of his manipulations and deceit was laid bare for all to see. The judge, unmoved by Obiora's pleas for leniency, sentenced him to deportation and banned him from re-entering the country. As he was escorted out of the courtroom, he felt the full weight of his actions pressing down on him. Back in Nigeria, Obiora faced a harsh reality. He was no longer the respected businessman but a pariah, shunned by society and burdened by his own guilt. He wandered the streets aimlessly, plagued by memories of Obiageli and Obiage. Their faces haunted his dreams, their laughter now a painful reminder of what he had destroyed. The once vibrant and ambitious man was now a shadow of his former self. He found solace in a small, dilapidated house on the outskirts of the village where he once courted Obiage. Alone and broken, Obiora spent his days reflecting on the choices he had made and the lives he had ruined. He realized too late the profound truth that every action has consequences, and some mistakes can never be undone. In the quiet solitude of his small home, Obiora wrote letters to the families of Obiageli and Obiage, seeking forgiveness. He poured out his heart, admitting his wrongs and expressing his deep remorse. He knew that words could never mend the broken hearts or bring back the lives lost, but it was the only way he could find a semblance of peace. Obiora's story became a cautionary tale in the village. Parents would recount the tragic fate of the twin sisters and the downfall of the man who betrayed them, emphasizing the importance of integrity and the heavy price of deceit. Obiora, once a symbol of success and ambition, had become a living testament to the devastating consequences of betrayal. As the years passed, Obiora continued to live in isolation. He found a small measure of redemption in helping others, offering guidance to young men and women to avoid the path he had taken. Though he could never undo the past, he hoped to prevent others from making the same tragic mistakes. Obiora's tale, entwined with the tragic fates of Obiageli and Obiage, serves as a poignant reminder of the fragility of trust and the far-reaching consequences of our actions. It is a story of hope and dreams shattered by deceit, of love and betrayal, and of a man's lifelong struggle with guilt and remorse. In the end, it is a testament to the enduring power of conscience and the painful journey toward redemption.
Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.